just came from my hairdresser. I actually didn't get my hair done, but I'll tell you what I did do. So I have that hair piece thing that goes really, really long. Well, I like it, but when I wear it, it's such a drastic difference from the normal length of my hair, even when I have my hair long, that it just feels like I'm wearing a costume, kind of a thing. And it looks good, but people will comment, like anybody who sees me knows it's not my real hair. One of the guys in John's band said, "Ooh, look at you, Stevie Nicks." And, so I was thinking, because, how my hair fell out after I lost weight, and it is growing back, but what's happening now is that the hair is, getting longer. So it's like I have this thick hair up here and then this scraggly thin hair that's a little longer than that. And if it's right after I wash it and blow dry it, it looks good, but like second day hair, it looks terrible. And so what I thought was, wouldn't it be nice to have another one of those things that I could wear that's more like the length of my hair when it's long, that would just sort of thicken it out and, just make it not look so thin until it finishes, growing back out. So I went on to Amazon, where I had bought the hair before, and was looking to see if I could get a shorter one. And as it turned out, that long one that I have is the shortest that they sell. And they have 2 other lengths that are even longer. Can you imagine? So I bought a second one, and then I just went over to Christy and I had her cut it. So this is the fake hair. I got the same color, so you guys know that she colored my hair to match this thing. And then she just had me put it on my head, and she cut it all the way around so that it is like what the length that my normal hair is. And so now I can have this thing on, and also Christy commented about how the texture of it is very similar to the texture of my own hair. In fact, I washed it. I guess it was this one. I washed it because I had gotten sweaty, and figured it needed a wash. And when I let it hang dry, it just got frizzy. And so I thought, whoever's hair this was, because it's human hair, that whoever's hair this was, it definitely, that person has, not terribly curly hair, but had some curl to it. So I'm excited. I'm actually really excited. In fact, my 40-year high school reunion, I can't even believe I just said that, but my 40-year high school reunion is in October. And I was just thinking, man, my hair looks so bad these days, and I just would like it to, kind of look like my normal hair does. And so I think I'm gonna wear this and see just how it does over. I wore that long one over the course of an entire day. Got a little uncomfortable by the end of the day, but I think that I'm gonna wear it, see how it does, see if it stays in place, that kind of thing, and then we'll just see about whether it's a good idea to wear it, because I don't want to wear it and then have it show or have it pull out or something when I'm there. But it would sure be nice to sort of look like me, and I don't want to wear the really long, ridiculously long one, because that one, it's obviously not my hair. But this I think might work, and I think it might help me to just kind of get through this weird, awkward phase while my hair starts to grow back. So, but I'm super excited about it. Yay! Oh, so the other thing I wanted to tell you guys, having to do with my hair falling out, is that I say when I lost weight my hair fell out. Actually, that's too simplistic. When I lost weight, it threw off my thyroid, and then that caused my hair to fall out. So it just wasn't getting balanced. We haven't been able to get my thyroid balanced out. I don't just have a typical slow thyroid. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune thyroid disorder. And so like normally when somebody has a slow thyroid, they go on to 25 micrograms of Synthroid, or like 0.025 milligrams, so micrograms is 25. And I am on 200 micrograms of Synthroid. So yeah, it's a big difference, and it just doesn't, it kind of goes like a roller coaster. It doesn't balance out very well, but it had been balanced out really well for many years. And then I lost weight, which it's just kind of been bouncing all over the place. My need for Synthroid should have gone down, but it for some reason went up. So my body needed more, but when you take more, it makes your hair fall out. So all that to say that I have an appointment with my doctor in a couple of weeks. I have to drive down to Phoenix for that. And so I got my blood drawn today. And I am hoping that my need for Synthroid decreases, which will, I mean, my hair is starting to grow back, and I've been using that product, that Regrows product, and it is growing back, but I have a feeling that if we're able to cut back on the thyroid medication, that will help it grow back even faster and hopefully thicker. So we'll see. You know, I'm happy that I lost weight, but man, I just really did not expect this whole thing with my hair. And it's, you know, your hair, it just changes how you look. You know, if you go from having long hair to having short hair, and the same goes if you go from having thicker hair to having thinner hair. Yeah, it's just, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, immediately noticeable, like my hair doesn't look the same. So now that I'm looking in the viewfinder and seeing this in my hair, I'm like, that's me. I haven't seen that person for a couple of years. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, when I get those blood test results, we'll be able to pull back on the amount of thyroid medication that I'm on. What I was on before all this fiasco was 175 micrograms 6 days a week. So one day I didn't take anything, and then and now I'm on 200 every single day. So that's, you know, it's a pretty big difference. It doesn't sound like it, but with the thyroid, it is. Like if I missed taking a pill one time in a month and then had my blood work done, it would be all off. I mean, that's how sensitive the thyroid is. Well, we have another big storm coming in. This one, they gave us a warning, one of those alerts on the phone yesterday, saying that it was going to come in and on today, Thursday, and basically the storm was going to produce flooding for 2 days until Saturday. So it was supposed to rain earlier today, and so it's just starting now. It's about 4:30 right now, but man, I picked up Monica from day camp, and I'm just driving into it now. So yeah, I don't know. It said it was going to rain all day tomorrow, so I don't know if it's like starting now and it's going to rain all day, or if it's going to do this for a little while and then start back up tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, look at how dark it is. You can hardly even like see the mountain. You can't, but that is the close mountain that you see to the right. The big mountain, it would be like more straight ahead, and you can't see that. Okay guys, so I did not think to film this last night, but yesterday, well, I had ordered this big thing of coconut oil. I use coconut oil when I make my homemade soap and also in my shower bars and stuff like that. So I ordered this big thing. Well, it came in the mail yesterday, and the top of it, you know, it had like a foil thing on it, and it was sort of raised a little bit, but that's normal, right? We live at high elevation. I've told you guys about that a lot, how things kind of, when I go and like open things, lotion, whatever, it just keeps coming out and coming out. Well, anyway, so I thought, well, you know, it's got a little raised part on it. That's normal. Anyway, this was sitting on the counter last night. I hadn't put it away yet, thank goodness. And John and I are watching TV and we hear this pop. And I come out in the kitchen and this thing has exploded. The lid busted and ended up on the opposite side of the kitchen. And then I've got this covered now, and you know, most of it is still in here. But there was probably a handful's worth of coconut oil on the floor of the kitchen. I've never had anything explode like that before. Have you? No? Yeah, I mean, seriously, this was just crazy. So yeah, high elevation, lesson learned. I mean, I don't know, it was just under a lot more pressure than I thought it was under when it came up the hill from Phoenix. But anyway, so now I've got to dish this into another container. Hey you guys, it is Thursday. And of course, what am I doing? Taking Monica to day camp. But I wanted to tell you that that hailstorm decimated my garden. I mean, my plants are so set back now. I don't think there was any plant that completely died. I had one, like my yellow currant tomato, you know, the one that made those little tiny pearl-sized tomatoes last summer. That one had like 2 leaves left on the whole plant. And it looks like it's trying to come back. And so none of my plants died, but here we are, the end of August. Today is the 26th or 27th or something like that. And I have almost no tomatoes. I mean, my Flamme, that's the one that makes these orange golf ball size tomatoes. That one has quite a few tomatoes on it. A few of them I had to pull off because they had gotten hit by hail. But they're inside. They did ripen. They were far enough along. But and then I have a couple of cherry tomato plants that have some cherry tomatoes on them. I have been so insanely busy in the last couple of weeks. I've had a couple of freelance projects. I have a deadline tomorrow. I think I'm going to be able to finish today. I have to finish today. I have to, because I'm babysitting tomorrow for the last time. And then, and it's, you know, I've got to get that thing submitted. So I'll try to get it submitted tonight. My mom and I have that art show that's coming up in just over a month. And one of the things I'm selling, we're selling some stuff in addition to our art. And one of the things I'm selling is my homemade goat's milk soap. And that soap has to cure for 4 weeks before it can be used to make sure that the lye has neutralized. So if I have a bunch that I've made, but I wanted to make another couple of batches. And like, I have to make it today, Monday at the very latest. And so it will be cured enough to be able to sell. So yeah, I've got to do that. I'm going to do that tonight. My husband has what did I say? My husband, John. You guys know John. John has band rehearsal tonight, so I think I'm going to make a couple batches of soap tonight. We are leaving tomorrow after I get finished with babysitting. We're leaving tomorrow and going to Phoenix. I hate going to Phoenix in the summer because it's so stinking hot. But my brother-in-law and sister-in-law both have birthdays around the same time, and so we're going down for a karaoke party. Hey guys, we are in Phoenix. It's Friday. We are down here for John's brother's birthday and his wife's birthday. So my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they're having a party tomorrow night at their house, and as usual, they do karaoke, which is always fun. I did ask if it was going to be a costume party. Usually it's a costume party, but this is the first time. Is this the first time they're doing karaoke where it's not? Well, anyway, we are in Phoenix. It's 100 degrees at 7:30 in the evening. So yeah, I always try to avoid Phoenix when it's hot. But not only am I here for this weekend, but Wednesday I have a doctor's appointment down here, so I got to drive down again. This is what Monica sounds like when she gets excited. Don't open it yet. Monica, oh, listen to you. You're terrible.
You're a good girl, Gracie.
Okay, so we've been at this karaoke party. I can't actually like film them singing stuff or I'll get demonetized because it's copyrighted material. But I've been in there singing so much. Hold on. My voice is just like trashed. But anyway, it is actually, what time is it? 2:20 in the morning. We can't like go to bed because, first of all, how could we sleep with karaoke going on? Most people have gone home. There's like 8 people here now. And all we really want to do, John and I, is just go to sleep. But we can't because his brother is like happy birthdaying. I've been singing so much that my voice is just a goner. But it's been a super fun party. Saw a lot of people who I haven't seen in a while. And it's been a lot of fun. But I just want to go to bed. Monica went to bed hours ago. She was just done. Okay, guys, I have checked several times for mushrooms this year, and even though we've had a lot of rain, I haven't found any. But I just passed by. This is the forest that's behind my old house, and so I just passed by some poisonous mushrooms. That's always a good sign, because if there aren't any poisonous mushrooms growing, there certainly aren't going to be the non-poisonous ones that I'm looking for. That guy's the poisonous one. At least there are some. Oh, here's some others. See those brown ones? Those are poisonous. There are only 2 that I can confidently identify. The one is the king bolete. They grow underneath ponderosa pine trees under the pine needles. But here, let me show you this. Okay, so this guy right here that is broken. This one is not. That is not an edible mushroom. It also has gills. Do you see how it has gills under there? I don't know of any. I'm sure there are. Well, there are definitely mushrooms that have gills that are edible, because most mushrooms we buy at the store, portobellos, have gills. But the ones I'm looking for have like sponge, like they have little holes. They're sponges. And so I can identify the king bolete and also the lobster mushroom. More mushrooms there. More mushrooms here. So this is really a good sign. So now, okay, look. So this right here, I'm guessing this is a slippery jack. This is edible, but it doesn't taste good. So let me. Okay, see how it's spongy underneath? See how it has little holes? So that's what the bolete has underneath it. But this is called a slippery jack. If I found a bolete and it was yellow like this underneath, it would be rotten by now. But this is a slippery jack, and it is yellow. It's edible but doesn't taste good, so why bother? But I'm going to be looking for ones that are pushing up from under the pine needles, or maybe there's just like a little bump and then I go digging for it. I am not very good at finding them, but my plan for today is to kind of search this thing out and let John know if he should come over and look, because he's really good at identifying. It's a bump. They call it a shrump for a mushroom. And so that's what I'm looking for. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited. I found one. Now, this one was already above the pine needles, so it's not good to eat. You can see it's kind of rotted on top, but this is characteristic of it. So it's usually like this one's starting to turn yellow, and that's also a bad sign. It just shows that it's past its prime. They're usually cream colored underneath and cream on the top. They have a big fat cap, and the stem is huge on it. If I were to break this open, there would more than likely be worms inside because it already was above the surface. So what you need to find is ones that are under the pine needles, a little bump, and then you start digging, and then you find one that is cream colored all over and doesn't have any of this, you know, like that's all from bugs that's been eaten away. So there's a poisonous one. So this is a good sign. I'm gonna look a little bit more to see if I can find any, but otherwise I'm gonna send John over here to find them. And if we hit the jackpot, we are just gonna slice these up and put them in the food dehydrator because they're really good rehydrated. They have a really strong flavor when they're rehydrated. And I'm just gonna dehydrate bolete mushrooms until my food dehydrator breaks. So let me tell you that it is never a good idea to go out looking for mushrooms when you don't really know what you're doing. It is always a good idea to have somebody with you who's an expert, or have somebody that you can go to. A lot of universities will have people on staff who specialize in identifying different kinds of plants, but in particular mushrooms. And because you know what, I don't care how good a mushroom is. It's not worth ruining your liver by, you know, misidentifying and, you know, dying over a chance to have a tasty mushroom. Now, the mushrooms I'm looking for are not the kind that get you high. They're the kind that like you would have for dinner. So, but yeah, my husband and I can only confidently identify two. No, let me say this differently. I can confidently identify two. My husband can confidently identify one. He's always bringing in other ones that he's like, oh, this one looks like a king bolete. This is good. This is just a baby one, right? And I'm like, that's not what they look like. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's close. And I'm like, is it that worth it to you to have a mushroom and not know if it's going to kill you? So he brought one home the other day, and it was the same color as a bolete, and it was a spongy one, but the stem was totally different, was skinny, and he was like, this is just a baby one. I'm like, why do you want to take a chance on that? But I looked it up, and I looked up what a baby king bolete looks like, and it was not that. So he would have killed us. So you want to make sure that you have somebody who can help you identify. So like the first time we went mushroom hunting, John was like, oh yeah, these are what we're looking for. And he took him into work, and his friend said, yeah, those would all kill you. And then one time we found some that really looked like boletes, but they were just a slight bit different. And I brought him into a friend of mine at work who specializes in it. And she said, you know, it looks really close, but I wouldn't risk it. So there you go. So you don't want to risk killing yourself over a mushroom. I mean, seriously. So the king boletes will grow to be like, the cap will be like the size of a dinner plate, like that big around, but fatter. But the problem is once you find them and they're that large, they're either yellow or green and filled with worms. So what you're really looking for is a small one. Is that one? Nope. I thought I found one, but here, let me try to get close. It has gills, and so that is not. So what I'm really looking for are smaller ones. And when I say small, I mean, I would take one if I found one that was this big, but they're really probably about this big around the cap. If you can look at my, there, this big around, this thick, and then the stem of it is just going to be huge and fat. But that's what I'm looking for, small ones, because you can be most of the time assured that they're not going to be rotten in any way. Here's the other thing we have to contend with. You see that hole dug right there? It's the squirrels. They get out here and they start digging for mushrooms too. There are a number of slippery jacks. Like I said, these are perfectly good to eat, but they just don't taste good. They're safe to eat, I guess I should say. They just don't taste good. But you know what? The squirrels aren't even eating those. That should tell us something. So if I was starving to death, I would absolutely eat a slippery jack. If I was starving to death, I would eat a bolete mushroom that had worms in it. I would just cook it and the worms would die. Or you're always supposed to cook wild mushrooms. But if I was starving to death, I absolutely would consider that. But you know, I have a pantry and a refrigerator full of perfectly good food, so I don't need to go eating mushrooms that don't taste good, that are filled with worms, or that could kill me. There's another one that was dug up by a squirrel. Boy, they get out here fast. You have to really get out here quickly right when the mushrooms start to grow. Okay, you guys, I think this is one, but it's sticking above the pine needles, so it may not be good. Let's pull it out here. Well, that is definitely, oh, you know what? I'm taking that home. It didn't come out whole, but look, it's cream colored underneath. There's no bugs. Oh, man. I'm surprised that it's, ooh, look at all that. So all this above, all this that's under the surface, I'll just wash that off and check to see if there are any worms in there. But man, oh man, that's a good one. It's little. I mean, that's kind of the size that I'm looking for, because that's the size you're going to find that will still be good to eat. Yay! I found another, you guys. This is a perfect specimen. Look at that. That's how the cap typically looks, and look how fat that stem is. That is pretty unmistakable. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh man, I'm so excited. I probably found, I don't know, like maybe 8 or 9. I don't know. They're in my bag. And I'm super excited. And you know, I was thinking about this, that when you talk to other people who hunt mushrooms, nobody will ever tell the exact spot where they found them, because you don't want to give it away so that other people will take that as their spot and come in before you. So people who hunt mushrooms and talk to each other about it usually speak about it in very general terms as far as location. They'll be really specific about what's safe or what's not safe, or what kind of mushrooms they're finding. I think there are probably about 6 to 8 different kinds of edible mushrooms here. There's one that's called a puffball, and there's a cauliflower mushroom. I don't know what those look like. I would not feel comfortable identifying those and eating them, so I only know 2. And one of them, the lobster mushroom, I'm just not that crazy about. The taste is good, I'm just not crazy about the texture. It's kind of grainy on the outside. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of those. So the king boletes are the ones that I really love. But when you get people together who are talking about mushrooms, that, you know, when they're hunting, they won't get specific. Like somebody may say, yeah, up on the peaks, but they won't tell. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to be all over the peaks. It just means that somewhere that they know of, there are mushrooms that you can get. And so we will say, if somebody asks us, like, where do you get yours? We'll be like, well, you know, there's some forest near our old house. Well, there's actually a lot of forest near our old house, and 2 sides of a main street and all that kind of stuff. And we never get very specific about it, because then the next thing you know, there will be a bunch of people hunting for mushrooms in your spot, and we're already competing with the squirrels. Okay, so the next step is that I'm going to go home and wash these off. I'm going to slice them, and I'm going to get them in my food dehydrator, and just, I don't know, I probably have more than what will fit in my food dehydrator right now. And so what I will do with the rest of them after cleaning them off is just put them in the refrigerator. And then, I can't remember, it's been so long. I think the last time we found a bolete mushroom, it was probably 5 years ago. Yeah. And the last time we had a bumper crop of these things was maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and we got... Okay, so I had enough to fill up my 5 layers of my food dehydrator and more. So when this batch is done, these I'll keep in the refrigerator, and then I will put those in. Was thinking that what I will do in the future is take one of those big old caps, slice it in half, not, like, so it makes 2 layers, 2 big layers, and then make mushroom burgers. So I can marinate that, and because they're really thick. Each of those caps is so thick. Hey guys, this is something I did last year for the first time, and it worked out so great that I'm doing it again. So I bought these red cherries. Last year I bought Rainier cherries too, but the store didn't have any when I was there last week. So anyway, I rinsed these, and I used a fat straw, like a big smoothie straw, and poked them through and pushed out the cherry pit of each one. Then I laid them on a baking sheet with a sheet of parchment paper and stuck them in the freezer for an hour. Now that they're not completely frozen, but they are pretty frozen. Now I'm going to throw them in a Ziploc bag. If I had just thrown them straight into a Ziploc without freezing them, they were wet and mushy, and they would have just frozen together in like a clump. So it's always good to freeze them flat first. And then I stored them away last year, and every so often during the winter, I would be like, oh, let's make a cherry cobbler or cherry crisp or a cherry crumble. And so we had cherry desserts several times, and they were so tasty. You get the fruit at the height of their freshness and when they're ripe. And man, I did not want to miss out on that. In fact, this was one big bag, pretty big bag. And so I'm probably going to see if they get Rainiers, and I'll do a bag of those. If not, I'm going to get another bag of these to do. Such a good idea. Man, I didn't realize what a good idea it was going to be. I also had done apples and peaches. We still have some apples and peaches, but we did make desserts with those too. So I highly recommend buying fruit when it is in season. And then like with the apples and peaches, I peeled them. Well, I didn't peel the peaches, but the apples I did. And then I put them in a bath of, it was water with, I think, a tiny bit of lemon juice or something, just so they don't get brown. With the cherries, I didn't have to do that. Cut them up, and I froze them the same way, froze them flat, and then put them in a Ziploc. So I better stop talking and get these into a Ziploc before they thaw. So these are 1-quart bags, and it almost filled 2 of them. Last year, I think I only had 1 bag that was like stuffed of this. And that was good for last year, but last year was, 2020. And so it wasn't like I was entertaining or anything like that. I think I'm going to get some more to do, maybe 1 more bag, preferably Rainier's, but 1 more bag preferably, or maybe 2, because then I can make something like a cherry crisp or cherry crumble for guests. And otherwise I would get really selfish about like, no, I want these for